Welcome back, guys. Oh, the irony. I had planned on doing a video about the worst thing you can hear as a tanker driver at Prime. Um, and of course, then it happens today. So, just to kind of go back over how this works, we pick up product, drive it to where it needs to go. I'm at a bakery in Cicero. This is actually Cicero, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. This is actually one of the first places I ever did a video. If you remember the tools, Taker Basics and Tools Part 1 video, I recorded that one here. Bring the product here. We go in, hand in the bills. There's paperwork. I have one piece of the paperwork. This is a tank wash certificate that I need a copy. We get 2 copies of that. So I hang on to one, give them a bill of lading is what it's called. They get a certificate of analysis, which is paperwork that just kind of gives a little bit of a lab analysis and breakdown of the product. And this is soybean oil coming over here. And then a copy of the wash ticket that they get to keep. Hand that into them. I'm actually hooked up already and just waiting for authorization to start. And then you get the dreaded worst words you can hear. And it's happened to me a couple of times in the last week. And that's why I thought maybe this would be a good topic for a video as we go on a tanker topic for once. And I'm glad to get back on a tanker topic. That tanker topic is the tank's full, or we don't have room. One of those 2 terms you're going to hear at some point, whether you're in training or whether you switch over. If you're lucky enough to not hear it in training, congratulations. But you're going to hear it at some point. I know I've briefly mentioned it in another video, but the biggest difference in tanker as compared to drive-in or anything along those lines, reefer, you've got a large warehouse here. This is a bakery. They have a warehouse portion. They can take whatever's in a drive-in or a reefer and shove it. There's a limited amount of space. I mean, it's not like a warehouse is infinitely large. But usually they can push off some other stuff and consolidate and make room for a shipment. It's not very often that you're going to hear, we don't have room to fit something into our warehouse. Tanker's a little different. They have a finite amount in a tank. And once you reach a specific level in a tank, it's going to either go over the edge of the tank and spill out onto the ground, or you're going to have an environmental mess or disaster, or you're just going to reach the top of that tank and you can't fit any more in there. And that's what's happened here at this facility in Cicero. It happened to me last week in South Bend, Indiana. It also happened to me in Columbus, Ohio last week. So like I said, it just kind of was one of those topics that I thought this would be interesting to throw out there as a topic. But that's the biggest thing as far as waiting that you hear. And I know I touched on wait times and sitting and waiting. My appointment this morning was at 8 o'clock. I believe it's almost 9 o'clock now. So I'm about an hour past. They just came out to me and told me it was going to be about another half an hour until they should be ready for me. And in a situation with a tank, they expect that they're going to drop. They're running the bakery right now, so their production line is going. They know how much is being drawn out of the tank over a given period of time because they know how fast their production line works. What happens sometimes, they'll be at a certain point in their tank and they know they can, 48,000 pounds is what I have right now. That if they put 48,000 pounds, for example, in South Bend, the tank was at 73% full. But they knew they had to get down to 39% so that 48,000 pounds would not overflow their tank. So then you have, well, how long is it going to take to get down to 39%? Well, then something happens and production actually stopped on the line that used the particular oil that I was bringing over. I was bringing canola oil over to the place in South Bend. So that's where you run into delays. But I just thought I would bring that up. That's probably the biggest issue that you run into in tanker, delays at a receiver. There are delays at shippers that you'll deal with. There was an equipment failure at the Bunge plant that we load out of. If you can't produce the oil, you can't load the trucks, and they can't get to where they need to get to. All of this stuff, though, Prime understands this is not the driver's fault. In fact, since this is the receiver's fault, you get 2 hours for free. My appointment was 8 o'clock, like I said. You sit here for 2 hours, not going to get paid to sit. After 2 hours, you get paid what is called detention. So for being held extra, detention was a bad thing when you were in school. Once you get out trucking, detention can be a good thing. It can be a good thing and a bad thing. You'll get paid by the hour, and the rate depends whether you're a company driver, whether you're a lease driver, and what the rate is set by this particular company. So this company here in Cicero sets their rate for how much they're going to pay me to sit by the hour past 10 o'clock this morning. And it's their fault. They ordered the product. They're not ready for it at the time that they needed it. I'm going to get paid by the hour to sit here and wait. Now you think, well, that's great. I just get paid to sit and do nothing. The downside of detention is it holds me up from doing the next thing that's available. And sometimes it's fine. Sometimes, I'm taping this on a Friday. I may have the weekend off, and all it means is I'm going to get home a little bit later today, as opposed to getting home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I might get home at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Not that big of a deal, and I get paid for my trouble. But if I had a load later on today, that may preclude me from being able to do that load, because I may need to take an 8 or 10 hour break, and I won't have enough time to pick up that next load and get my break in and be able to deliver it on time. So that's where detention can hurt you, because yes, you're going to get paid by the hour, and detention rates vary anywhere between $25 an hour, $35 an hour. There are some places that pay more than that. So you're sitting there thinking, well, that's awesome. You get paid $25, $35 an hour to sit and do nothing. But if you lose out on a load tomorrow, that's going to pay you $500, $1,000. Is that $35 that you made today sitting for an extra hour really worthwhile? Probably not. So there you go. Tank's full, or we don't have room. Worst phrase you can hear in tanker. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you again next week.